Good morning, Alberto the Knight. It's Karl the Margrave.
Margrave Karl?
We got the contract for Valeria.
We got the contract?
We got it.
Valeria's calling! Yes! After years of preparation!
There are only a couple of things that we should do. Well, that you should do.
What shall I do? I'm your knight!
You should go fight the Red Ogre.
Slay a monster? Slay a monster for Valeria! I don't really feel like...
Do it.
Alright, okay, I'll do it.
Do it for Valeria.
Valeria! No. Margrave Karl? I did it.
Good job, Alberto the Knight.
It wasn't pleasant.
However, we still have to do one more thing. Well, you have to do it.
What more?
You have to build a ward tower to protect the kingdom of Valeria.
Build a tower?
Do it for Valeria.
Seems easier. Alright. Valeria! We got the contract, right?
You got it.
Alright. Valeria! Valeria! Valeria's calling the contract! Margraave Karl! I did it! I broke my leg, but I did it!
Good job, Alberto.
I won't be able to walk anymore, but I did it!
Unfortunately, we didn't get the contract.
What?
A little misunderstanding?
A little misunderstanding?
Maybe I didn't catch it right.
But, Valeria, but...
I'm sorry.
No!
I'm such an ass.
Welcome back to ITeachHerSheWins! For another juicy episode about a special game. Say with your atmosphere, Mollie. The game is...
Margraves of Valeria.
Valeria! Yes! Alrighty. Well, designed by...
Isaias Vallejo.
Or like we would say in Italy, Isaias Vallejo.
Exactly. That's what I said.
Published by...
Daily Magic Games.
Alright, and let's go first to one of the juiciest thing about the game. First, how many players does he play? What is the average length of the game?
It plays 2 to 5 players.
Correct.
And
like I want to say, almost all their games, they play with a great variety of people. Of course, we love playing games just the two of us, so it worked perfectly for us. But definitely it plays for up until 5 players. The length.
an hour and a half. But
Yeah.
if it was us, it would be 3 hours.
Yeah, and possibly 2. It really depends on the number of players. The art. Who's the artist here?
Dimitrievski.
Dimitrievski, hello Dimitrievski! None of us said it correctly, I'm sure, but you should know him by now. You are seeing pictures, this the beauty of technology as we speak. They speak for themselves. Dimitrievski has been the artist of several, well, I'm pretty sure all the games of the Valeria saga and many other games. All huge famous games. To give you an idea, my favorite card is the Orc Berserker. You're seeing right now, if I'm doing this correctly with editing, and it's like this huge orc, there's blood everywhere, it's bold and fearless, and you just want to slay him. Oh man! What about your favorite card, Mollie?
My favorite card is the Warlord. I just love all the textures of the art. It has, they're shiny, and then there's like the
mysterious.
fuzzy on the collar.
She likes the fuzzy.
I don't know. And
Two different points of view.
He just looks like somebody you want to get to know underneath that armor. I don't know.
Definitely 2 different point of views. All right. Likewise, the components are of high quality. There are tokens. You might be seeing right now the resources.
All different types of tokens and colors. And
Yeah, there are the resources, wood, magic, stone, and gems. Gems is even a different material. Then there are the knights, the Margraves, the influence tokens. There are many tiles as well, because you will see there are starting
different shapes and sizes.
Exactly, and then there is the board game.
And of course, gems.
Yeah,
I mean, you gotta have gems.
you gotta have gems in a game like this. And there is the board game, but then there is also the influence tracker, the player boards. The game comes with a lot of stuff. So what type of game it is?
It's a board game.
Okay, duh. I thought it was a video game, man. I'm just joking. Yeah, so it's a board game, clearly.
Yes, and it takes place in the land of Valeria.
Valeria!
Which continues the saga of Valeria.
So,
Very well.
and based on what mechanics?
Based on worker placement, area movement, and deck and pole building.
Yeah, I mean, it's as she has told you, it's a mix of mechanics like many games by Daily Magic Games.
Yes.
There are many mechanics. Those are the major ones: the worker placement, the area movement. You move around your Margraves, or you deploy knights that are at everybody's disposal. That's an interesting twist. Any player can use any knight that is on the board. There is then the deck building component, because you recruit citizens according to your strategy. Then there is, of course, the pool building. You organize your resources. There are other components. First of all, a set collection component. You will see there are privileged tiles that gives you that you can acquire as you move. You acquire more influence over a single guild. One of these special award, a privileged tile, is the banner. And for each different unique banner you have at the end, you get exponential. You get a lot of victory points. So there is that set collection. I guess you're not trying to get well. There is a collection component, maybe not set, but set of different banners. And then definitely there is a tile drafting component at the beginning of the game. Each game is never the same, because at the beginning players draft between starting wealth tiles. So you pick what you start tailoring your strategy from even before the beginning of the game, pass the tiles along until each player has 3 starting wealth tiles. They give you special resources to begin with, additional resources to begin with. So it's not symmetric, because players will have different advantages and disadvantages. So there are many.
Still balanced.
Still balanced, of course. You will find yourself often be like, oh man, do I want this or that? I don't want to give Mollie that because she already has a worker icon. Oh, shall I keep this? There is a lot of you'll see there's a lot of thinking in this game, and that brings me to the rules. The structure, the flow of the game is very simple. The objective of the game is to get the most victory points when the game is over. When one of the end of the game condition is triggered. And game condition can be when the last tower of a player has been placed on the board, when all citizens have been recruited, when you run out of the citizens deck, when you've depleted the deck, or when you've depleted the privileged tiles deck. When that happens, we finish the current round, and then the player with the most victory point wins the game. The key to get victory points is how much influence you have over each guild. The 4 major guilds that have been used in all the the Saga of Valeria games are Worker, Soldier, Shadow, and Holy. There is an influence tracker. As you acquire influence through the game, you decide where you want to advance. The more you move to the right, the more victory point you're going to get at the end for each of that guild unique symbol. And it's interesting, there's a lot of strategy, because as you move to the right, as you gain influence on a guild, you gain privileged tiles, but you also have to pay gold to move, to acquire more influence. So that's the best way to get influence. Of course, there are others, including slaying monsters and placing your war towers. So that's the goal of the game. The flow of the game is simple. Alternate turns. On your turns, you must play one citizen card. If it's the last card, your citizen card that you have in your hand, and you have a full discard pile, you must use the replenish action, which, apologies, I should know that by heart, is called the this is embarrassing, the recall power. So if it's your last season card, you gotta play face down and reshuffle your discard pile, and other things happen. If not, so the flow is you must play one citizen card and do one of four things. Use the pennant action, which is the action indicating the top left corner of a citizen card. Allows you to move, deploy your Margrave, sorry, my Italian accent, along the board to activate special location powers. It allows you to deploy knights. Interesting twist, you can deploy them from your player board, or you can use knights that are already there. That maybe Mollie put the previous turn, I'm like, I'm gonna use the knight. And so on. And you can gain strength, resources, strength that you need to kill, slay a monster, and resources that you need to do several things. That's the first action, pennant action. Second, the citizen card is a unique power. It's at the bottom of the card. It tells you what you can do, and all of them, well, not all of them, but most of them also allows all players to do an additional action. I guess the idea is to reduce the downtime, right? So you're playing, the others are still doing stuff. They're,
you never get bored playing this game.
Yeah, exactly. Since it's fairly long, it's a board game, it's a worker placement. So this keeps you always focused. Others have other citizen powers, allow opponents to do something. So not you who played it. So there's a lot of thinking there too. So second, citizen power action. Third, which could also allow you, for instance, to slay a monster. How do you slay a monster? By matching their strength. Sometimes they require also magic, so you gotta spend magic token resources that you accumulated through the game. And the strength, you have some strength that you have accumulated on your player board, you can spend that, or you can use the interchangeable knights that you have on your player board, or on the location in which your Margrave is currently located, so where you're fighting. Your Margrave is in Chilina, and you want to fight the Orc Berserker. Well, there is a knight there, I can use that one instead of one of my strength. And that's the second action. Third action, you can recall the recall power. Use your player board. You just play your citizen card face down, and you shuffle everything. First, you get to discard one citizen from the pool, the one at disposal of everybody, from the market, trying to jeopardize your opponent's strategy. So you must discard one of the citizens, which will be replenished later on. Then you shuffle your discard pile and put it back in your and draw again your cards. And finally, you may recruit one citizen by paying as much gold as indicated underneath each card. They're from the cheapest to the most expensive, left to right. Last action, you can build a tower. It costs you one resource of each type: wood, stone, magic, and gem. And here is very interesting, right? You noticed it.
Yeah, there's not many gems.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
You gotta hang on to them if you get them.
Yeah, all resources are scarce, of course, but gems particularly feels like they're always running out of. So that's the strategy that you could go for. Then, of course, another interesting twist of this game, it's there are some micro games within the game. First, as explained before, when you deploy your Margrave or a knight, and you move it into another location, you activate that location unique power. If you cannot or you don't want use the power, you just gain 2 gold. And of course, you can gain resources. An interesting one is Naimer, a city that allows you to do a unique shipping action to ship resources around the sea. And for each resource you spend, you move by one space in this track and get a lot of resources. And I learned with this lady here that it's very fruitful if you go there and spend a lot of resources, because you go around the island and get gold, influence, privilege tiles. That hurt. Another interesting micro game, it's when you sacrifice the knights to slay monsters. For Valeria! Sacrifice your knight! They gladly die for you for Valeria, and they go to the hero tomb. Right? Tomb.
Very good.
Very good. When you place the dead, the sacrificed knights, there are rows and columns. If you fill them up, you get that unique reward. And of course, if somebody has played the turn before, you find already dead heroes there. Until then, it's full filled up and it's cleared out. So there are these little interesting things. And in addition, of course, we said the influence tracker, how by moving to the right, you might have to pay gold to move further to the right, but you gain unique privilege tiles that you put on your player board to be used at any time during your turn.
It's important to get influence in the right spots.
Exactly. That's the key to victory here. So, those are the rules. Final thoughts.
Well, it brings the Valeria saga to a higher level of strategy and depth.
Clearly, this is definitely, at least from our experience, very, very deep, much deeper than the other games. There is much more strategy. It's heavier.
But it's still fairly simple to play.
Correct. As we said, the flow of the game is simple. I play my citizen card, do 1 for action, your turn. Citizen card, 1 for action. Of course, then the action you can create combos, and if I wouldn't say it's a gateway game, because if you play with somebody that understands the mechanics, they can, we say in Italy, assault you. If it was assault over you.
I don't think we say.
Alright, they destroy you, so fairly simple, the flow is simple.
They bury you.
They bury you. They bury you in the hero tomb.
Yes.
Just watch out. And anything else?
Yeah, it's a very balanced mix of mechanics with a huge variety of options.
Yes. Of course, as we said, just by looking at how many components, how many tokens, how many cards, how many boards, you understand how many things you can do in this game. The mechanics, that's something that especially the other games of the Valeria saga do very well. They are a mix of mechanics. In this case, as we said, worker placement with deck building, pool building, set collection.
It's a board game, it's a card game.
It's true. So there is that. There's no one main mechanic the game is based on. It's a really mix of different mechanics. There is definitely it requires more space because of the variety of components, and it requires some setup time. Everything's pretty straightforward if you read the rule books, which I love to do, of course, as you know. I love the rules. It explains everything fairly simple, but you need to place cards, tokens, divide cards.
I let him do that part.
Yeah, and the length, is unlike some other games of the Valeria saga, this is longer. 1-2 hours, people like us, 5 people like us, probably possibly longer than that. And I believe that's it. One thing that I want to say that is very important: when you play this game, you gotta scream, Valeria! Thank you for watching us. Check it out. Margraves of Valeria. Defend the land. Have other knights go there and die for you. Yes!
Thanks for watching. ITeachHer.
She wins. Sadly, very sadly. I really try. I learn the rules, but she wins all the time. Thank you, guys.
Illustrated by Dimitrievsky.
Say the name again.
Dimitrievsky.
Say the name again.
Dimitrievsky.
All right. welcome back to ITeachHerSheWins for another juicy episode for the special games. What's the name of the game, Mollie? Say it with the right atmosphere. Margraves.
Okay. Let's do this.
Let's do this one more time.
Good morning. No. Valeria.